Well, welcome back to another Grade 1 preview at Keeneland. Scott Shapiro and Darin Zoccali joining you again on another one of these spectacular races on a Keeneland Saturday. And Scott, the Coolmore Turf Mile, a race that is certainly rich in history and tradition. And man, did they ever get a loaded field for this one, an overflow field, 12 in the main body of the field. And just from start to finish, a very compelling race and certainly a handicapping puzzle.
Without question, Darin, in a race where I think a lot of speed is signed on this year should lead to a fun finish with horses likely trying to work out trips and come with their late run. You've got Classic Causeway, the 3-year-old drawn to the inside, right outside of him. Smooth Like Straight, both of them likely to show early speed. You've got Annapolis, another 3-year-old taking on order that should be involved, and some like it Hot Brown. So I'm going to lean towards horses that can come from off the pace, not only on top, but in general in this race.
Yeah, that's how I saw the race too. Completely agree. Some like it Hot Brown might be a little bit quicker. Classic Causeway on the cutback in distance to a mile. Curious to see if he has that same speed early out of the gate, cutting back to the mile as opposed to the marathon distances that he has been traveling at. He's a bit of a fascinating horse, though. This horse started his career as a 3-year-old on dirt, went into the Derby, was not up to snuff. Then they put the horse on turf, and I understand maybe he's been beaten the last couple of starts. But that being said, he's obviously a completely different animal on the grass.
He does seem to be better on the turf. You know, he ran big races against kind of slightly lesser competition leading into the Kentucky Derby and then that Florida Derby. Put in a clunker, didn't run well in the Kentucky Derby with an underly aggressive ride from off the pace, but has been a real competitive animal in the Ohio Derby, and then he moved to the turf. So he's intriguing. I think he's up against it a little bit in this spot, but definitely looking forward to seeing what Kenny McPeek now, sorry, not Brian Lynch, and his team do, maybe with just an okay effort in this race, which I suspect will be the case. If he wins, obviously, they're going to keep him on the turf moving forward.
Another horse that could be popular that I'm actually going to be fading off my tickets is Santine, the million winner. This horse seems to just relish the turf course at Churchill Downs. And when he goes someplace else, it's not the same horse. Maybe that's a little bit too simplistic. But if you go back through the past performances and you watch the replays, I think that is a worthwhile conclusion and a logical one that you can be drawn to. That's how I feel about this horse. Your thoughts on this runner?
I agree with that sentiment, as well as the fact that I think a mile might be a little too sharp for him. Now, if he gets the right trip and they set it up for him where I think he'll be probably mid-pack under Tyler Gaffalione, maybe he can work out that perfect trip, get the jump on the late rivals, and have a punch at 1 mile. But overall, he's a horse that I'll take a stand against for the reason you mentioned, as well as a little bit of a question mark over the 8 furlongs.
A horse that I thought was really up against it last time, and he's going to be my selection this time because he proved me wrong, is Casa Creed. I thought he really was going to be pace and trip compromised last time out in the 4-star Dave. He was last early. He was stretching out to a mile. I wasn't sold at that point that he was going to be able to show the same turn of foot at a mile as he would going that 6-furlong trip at Belmont Park. He was able to show it over the speed favoring inner turf course at Saratoga against a short field. Now he's going into a race where he is going to have to navigate his way through traffic, but he's done that before going 6 furlongs. He's now proven at a mile as well. This horse could just be at the peak form of his career. And I think the way this race sets up, if he gets a clean trip, he has as good a chance as any.
Yeah, for a 6-year-old son of Jimmy Creed, he sure did prove a lot of us wrong in that 4-star Dave, where I was under the same impression that his best game was coming from well off the pace, gone 1 term. But he definitely ran a winning race, and he got to the wire first in the 4-star Dave. Was a speed favoring course overall, of course, but I think the race shape did play to his favor or to his liking in there. A little bit concerned about regression or maybe that being an outlier performance, but no doubt if he runs back to that effort, he's going to be a tough customer, especially given this likely race shape.
Yeah, and another horse that I think is going to benefit from the race shape is a horse that you selected, and that is Set Piece. I've been a fan of this horse for a long time, Scott. When he emerged on the scene at Turfway Park about a year and a half ago, I instantly kind of fell in love in his synthetic form and thought he could carry that into the turf. I know you like him in this spot, and I think he's going to come with a rally. My one concern with him is that once he gets to this level, grade 1 competition, he just consistently seems to be a cut below. When he moves in against the field like you saw last time, he explodes, he dominates. This field, though, is tougher, and he hasn't been able to break through at this level yet. Do you also have that concern, or you think he's ready for a lifetime best?
No, I definitely have that concern. But when I looked at the race, we talked about the race shape at the top of it, and we've talked about it nonstop, basically, because I think it's an important factor in the race. When I looked at the other horses that I thought would be coming from off the pace, I just had some concerns. You've got Ivar, who I originally was going to be on, but I'm a little concerned about the equipment change. He's worn blinkers through most of his recent starts and had success. A little odd to take him off at this point for Paulo Lobo. He's going to be one of the favorites. I was a little concerned there. Mason, a horse for Chad Brown that I think will get the right trip, has just struggled to finish the deal, including last time out, getting outpicked by Casa Creed. So what I like about set pieces, I know what I'm going to get. Joel Rosario jumps aboard for just the second time in this one's career. Far outside, Joel's going to angle in, save ground early, probably be last in the running. And if the pace is hot enough, I expect him to come with a big run at a likely to be of a pretty good price because of what you mentioned, Darin, the concerns about the class. And when he raced over this Keeneland course last in the Maker's Mile, he got a real poor trip that day, was wide throughout, was keen off the freshening, a little bit closer than he likes. So I'm not in love with set piece, but I think the price will be right. And I do think he's going to get a nice setup for that strong late run.
Couple of closers for us here in the Coolmore Turf Mile. Casa Creed for myself, set piece for Scott Shapiro. Wish you the best of luck. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget to take part in this great promotion at Keeneland all meet long at TwinSpires, the Keeneland Daily Double Down, all the daily doubles throughout the day. If you hit 2 daily doubles on the card, we're going to give you a 50% bonus on those 2 daily doubles and any others you may hit throughout the day, up to $50 a day. And that is available every race, every day at Keeneland. So be sure to take part in the Keeneland Daily Double Down. For Scott Shapiro, this is Darin Zoccali. Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check out all of our TwinSpires Grade 1 previews on the road to the Breeders' Cup throughout the month of October.